puppy pile.
They just get him in the dressing room and they roll him around in the middle and they rub his belly. Oh, Mitchy.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
You're listening to the Leafs Power Dump, January 31st edition, our third episode. Gentlemen.
Yeah, just beat the Oilers, or just lost to the Oilers.
We tied the Oilers, and then they won in overtime.
Fair enough.
I don't like to consider those losses. They don't show up in the L column.
The OTL.
Right.
Check out our merch.
Pardon?
Was that the intro or the outro?
I don't know, but
just keep saying it. One day there'll be merch.
Connor McDavid decides that Edmonton needs a goal, wanders down, puts one in, bows to the crowd. How do we feel about that, considering he was answered by Matthews 2 minutes later?
Maker thinks that McDavid ain't all he's cracked up to be.
Well, I know.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
It was a nice goal. It was a nice goal. I
It was a good goal.
I don't deny that.
Last podcast talked about how Riley was feeling a little tentative because he was from, the move McDavid did last year. I'm sure he's sitting on the bench looking at everyone going, see, I told you. I told you.
How's it feel? How do you like it?
Yeah. I think actually Riley played well in those games too. I think so to go back to that, my assessment is either he's addressed it or I was wrong. Probably more like I was wrong. But I think he's played great in those two games. Like he played solid. Yes, it was a good goal. Can other guys do that goal? Other guys have done goals like that. Is he the greatest player in the game right now? Greatest of all time. There's a long way to go to really determine.
Yeah,
that, you know. Maryland Lemieux took Warren Young and made him a 30 goal scorer when the guy had been like 50 years old and just came out of the minors for the first time. And they talk about that. Those kind of guys where Gretzky and Lemieux were taking these dudes who didn't have that much skill, and even Crosby does that and takes a guy and elevates him to another level on his line. Is McDavid doing that yet? I don't know. He's great. I also know that I've heard so much McDavid chatter. I'm just like, oh, right. I get it. The game's using him as PR, but like, holy hell, man! Like every second.
Well, what constitutes that then? If you talk about one of these guys as being that badass that we have to consider them in the same, category as Gretzky and Lemieux, then is it scoring? Is it elevating each other's games? Is it making sure that your team wins? Is it like just complete utter skill dominance? Like, when you start to add those things up, you think to yourself, where is this guy falling on the spectrum of all those possibilities and capabilities? I think the guy's he's just got the skill above everybody else's. He's what they call an extraordinary man amongst extraordinary men. When it comes to playing at that elite level, maybe he needs a little bit more time, but he's freaking elite.
He's great, no denying. Like
a little denying.
No, I'm saying he's a great player. Okay, so I also get obviously I'm super pro Leaf, and everybody else that's not like out there would be like, man, all we ever hear about is the Leafs nonstop, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So Sportsnet
This is a Leaf podcast.
Exactly. But they did a thing about the best goals of this century so far, and McDavid was in there, and I think the Riley look goal was in there, and the goal that wasn't in there, which I repeatedly say is one of the greatest goals I've ever seen in my life, is Matthews' second goal of his career. It way better than last night's breakaway goal is, here's a guy in his first game who takes the puck, dekes out Kyle Turris, Mike Hoffman, Mark Stone, Erik Karlsson, Mark Mathot, and Craig Anderson. He has to get through all those guys and not like blowing through them like fast. He takes the puck, does it between their legs, tap sticks, like he does it kind of in every different way. Mathot slides to try to break him, and he just goes around him and pops it in the net. That to me is probably the greatest goal I've ever seen. And like seriously, like you have to compare, like people even like Maryland Lemieux's Ray Bourque goal in his first game. Great, he's big, he pushes Ray Bourque aside. Bourque's amazing, the best defenseman of all time. But he didn't go through the entire team of guys who are now touted to be like at that time the best defenseman in the world in Karlsson, and these guys who all end up being top free agents. That kid was in his first game and pulled that off the entire team.
Nice goal for sure. You got to admit.
Will he be better? Will Matthews be better than McDavid at the end of their career?
Oh,
Well, we'll stick a pin in that and circle back in 20 years.
well,
or 5.
the
Who
ultimate
knows?
the ultimate reckoning is cups, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or teams that at least compete. And
You gotta
well,
bring
clearly what Edmonton needs to do is they need to find their Jonas Hoagland to their Matt Sundin there, right? They need to surround him with some talent. How many draft picks has that team had? The fact that they're still down to 2 players, really, all their goal production comes from 2 guys, and they always debate about whether they're on the same line or they have to split them up to move the scoring around.
Mm-hmm.
We've got depth. This last road swing, it's the depth of the team that I'm impressed with. Like the taxi squad guys coming in and out, Spezza taking a night off and coming back in, and seeing revamped. It's like that's what I'm impressed with. As a team, right? Getting away from individuals, but just kind of our third and fourth lines. There's some shifts where the fourth line is actually like dominating possession,
and not necessarily against a fourth line either. Not necessarily going head to head, and we've got a lot of speed throughout the lineup. Boyd came in and played really well.
I felt like Lettinen looked a little lost fairly regularly last game.
He's been up and down,
Yeah.
No exhibition games, eh? Hard to break into the league this year where you've got no exhibition games.
Nothing.
You're just thrown right in. Yeah.
I like our defense a lot right now. Brody and Riley seem to be gelling pretty well.
They're finally firing. I was so down on Riley first few games. I was just like, he's a potato. He's going to be a potato the whole time. Total not potato.
Nah, that's Riley.
He's more of a carrot or a legume now.
Zach Bogosian playing a good solid game like that, got a mighty beard. He's looking like Dan Bilzerian. I don't know if it's an Armenian thing or what, but he got this Instagram baller kind of lifestyle he's adopted since he came to Toronto, and pretty excited to see how that guy's just going to lay out and
love it
in the rest of the season, because he's definitely he's fit in really nice. You're right. I like the back end right now. These guys are playing good.
Well, to your point from our first episode, they've switched up their D. Are we going to, what does that mean? What are we going to see? I think we're starting to see the fruits of that now.
I noticed in the last 2 games, in the last minute when the tension's on, Keeps got Bogo out there, and I think it was Bogo and Muzzin actually mixing that up, and it's like, okay, that guy, because he just plays solid, smart. It's like the anti-CC, he can pin a guy to the boards. He's not going anywhere, and he's going to move the puck, and occasionally he'll use what speed he has to get it farther up the ice and surprise people. And Hall's got better wheels, got a bit more youth, but Hall and Bogosian are playing similar kinds of games, I think.
There were some trade rumors about Dermott, trading him off for maybe another winger or some more depth on the forward core, and then that would clear space for some of those guys too that Paul was talking about.
I like Dermott though. I think he's got sort of Leaf heart. Like he really wants to be here. He loves being part of the team. And do you see where it goes with him because he can do that? And do you leverage something like a Sandin or Liljegren and try to play the unknown potential in that trade and maybe get something more out of it? Fashion segment. What did you guys think of the reverse retro jerseys last night?
Everybody's reverse jerseys suck.
Yeah.
What about Dallas?
Dallas.
Oh damn! Seriously, I got a seizure when I saw.
Exactly. I gotta turn the contrast and saturation so I can watch it in black and white.
I think when it comes to those bright things that maybe Frankie says relax.
Well, when 2 teams go to war, they got to be dressed properly. Both Tkachuk's having hissy fits this week.
Right.
Old time hockey.
Fits.
There's a Muzzin play too, flipping the puck over at Tkachuk at the end of the game. It was just like a real nice, subtle veteran move, just to be just
a souvenir.
Yeah, here, you might want to keep this puck.
Yeah.
The buzz was that some of his sort of freaking out on the way down the tunnel and smashing, crap behind him was less directed towards sort of Muzzin and that stuff, more directed actually at his own team for not stepping up and swarming and not letting that sort of nonsense happen.
That's a nice PR spin for him.
I feel like it might be kind of half and half though, because apparently they had a big team meeting before the game last night, just players meeting.
Yeah.
And that was their thing, is they were coming back out and they're going to be more aggressive and more, all for one and one for all kind of situation. Which did it pay off? Did they win? 2-0. Yeah, they beat them 2-0.
They did, eh? Oh, good. Montreal needed to be knocked back a little.
Yeah, starting to see separation in all the divisions, but so some of those teams like a Calgary or an Edmonton, they got to start winning now, right? Like, because Leafs in Montreal and Winnipeg are separating from the rest of the pack pretty quickly.
Yeah, and actually that's a really interesting point so Edmonton's got to play desperate. They came out last night kind of given her and everything like that. What I love
first
is
period
that
was fast.
No, it's fast on both sides. But what I love is that if that's a desperate Edmonton team and trying to beat us, and if that's their playoff level and they've elevated to that much, and that's what we still get a point out of it, I feel pretty good. Seriously, they got to play desperate, man. We've won 7 games. We're like, and we brought good energy, I thought. So let's talk about the overtime briefly. I know we're not doing a lot of over game analysis, but the overtime bad change on Nylander, I think it's like, yeah, you did your run up the ice, you're tired, you missed your opportunity to score. You got to come back. When McDavid's on the ice, you can't leave until they go. Or you've got exactly the right time when you're heading down and with control of the puck.
Nylander scored his first in 7 games or something like that, or he's been playing great, making a lot of great plays and stuff like that, but he scored.
But would you start him in overtime against?
I think you start JT for sure.
I would go Matthews and Marner against McDavid in that setup. There's that rivalry now between Matthews and McDavid. They're friends. It was clear that after McDavid scored his goal, Matthews was like, I'm going to get that back.
I'll show you.
And I think you throw those two guys you throw them head to head and say like, all right, you guys, you played 3-on-3 probably in Arizona when you were goofing around. Have at her.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
You got the captain, and it's
all just
awesome.
analysis at this point.
Exactly.
Why even? But wait, that's the whole point of the podcast, right?
Right. I'm bringing up the fashion stuff too, because think about analysis and what goes on. Elliot Friedman and Chris, what those suits were horrible last night. I don't know if you know, like it was like
I didn't really know.
And Fried's always like he's usually my girlfriend commented on it. And he's always got like nice suits, and she was like, "What is like?" He love the guy. I love his analysis and everything, but his suit was not good, And I think the same stylist dressed Chris and. I don't know. They were like kind of buzzing on the TV, and anyway,
it was the retro thing. They were trying to match the retro jerseys.
You might be right, actually.
They were probably also, taking a key from our previous episode where we had a seizure-inducing moray for the entire episode. Thank you, Paul Zimic.
What a comeback!
I think they don't want to admit it, but we're already making an impact. I think that's what we can assume safely from that.
Well, I've already heard that, many people follow up Leafs lunch with the good Leafs power dump.
It's a logical progression.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or filling a niche or emptying a niche. It depends on how you look at it.
Our hardcore fans, they do Leafs breakfast with Kolyakovo and Landsberg. Then they do a Leafs power dump. Then they go for lunch with Leafs lunch and then do another Leafs power dump. So, just a recap on it.
Wait, that sounds like we have to do like a power dump supplement then, like a really brief one for your morning, and then a bigger one at lunch when you have some time.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe we should break it up into 2 segments.
The dump digest, or the digest dump. Get the order of operations correct.
Yeah.
What about penalties this week? What the hell?
Oh
what the fuck, man? That's it. Yeah, the reffing.
There it is.
So that was a little weird for everybody, and I don't know whether or not it was just going on in the games that we were watching. I got to admit, I've been a bad hockey fan. I haven't been watching games outside of the Canadian bubble, but man, it was just going both ways. Our defensive players that need to get a little bit of a stick on your hands to try to remind you that they're there,
or
it's not
even your stick.
It's not, it's not the kind of stuff that's causing them to lose control, even a little tap on the hands. But if that's the way they're going to do it, fine. Then that's what we know. Then we'll just adjust the way that we play. But I don't see the consistency, and there's a little frustration this week with penalties, that's for sure.
How come you can cross-check a guy in front of the net all you want, and you can't lay a little lumber on the hands, passing by?
Actually, Ray Ferraro on that game was doing color on the one with all the penalties, and you know, they commentators generally don't commentate on the referees, but he's like, I'm gonna have to just like step out of what I normally do here and be like, exactly as you said, John. How can you tap? You can't tap a guy on the hands or on the back or the stick a little bit, but you can like sit there and repeatedly check him in the kidneys. And he's like, the league's got to look at that. Maybe that I think you'll see. There's one thing they're thinking about calling, and the refs call it like bonkers for the first 15 games, and then it starts to tail off, and then the playoffs come and they just throw it all out the window and it doesesn't matter, and you can basically murder until they feel like you can't, and
then they'll just throw you out for the rest of the series.
It's weird. It's weird. I think it's a weak spot for the league, and they need to really, I mean, I guess people have always complained about the refs, but I feel like the last several years the consistency's been really all over the shop, and probably for the refs too. They're like, what do you want us to be calling?
Presumably with, you know, the COVID travel and stuff, we get the same pool of refs all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like they'll be in our division. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the same.
So you don't want to complain too much. You don't want to complain too much, right? Because the guys will be back 2 days later, or 2 games later.
Not a good season to mock the ref by calling your own goal like Matthews did a couple years ago. Still awesome. Hey, matching mugs. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, bud. This is 90, 94, 93, 94.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. It's amazing for a cup to last that long. If you think about it, in the day of children and dishwashers and
totally, and like no tea stains or coffee stains. This thing is cleaned up just
the
great
Leafs
all the time.
know one thing, it's how to make a cup last.
Oh,
come on.
Oh my God.
Over the plate.
That was it's true.
Boy.
Of course, I use a baseball analogy in a hockey podcast.
To finish that power play.
How's the power play doing too, eh, guys? We're kicking ass. Like, that's the one thing about penalties. Man, we're like leading categorically in a lot of areas of the power play. Wayne Simmons, that's what makes me so excited to see him. I mean, deflection of pucks off him in front of the net, causing traffic, a little bit more of the unexpected type of passing. Wayne Train, I'm on it. You know what I mean? Like just a tunnel through my heart. That guy is playing awesome right now.
My guy.
I'm your guy, man. For sure.
What they're working on right now, what I'm happy to see is that I don't feel like I can predict the power play as much as I have been over the last couple of years, where I'm like, okay, they're going to drop it back. They're going to come in, gain the zone. Marner's going to try to go cross seam. Like that one season, we had a bunch of playoff goal or power play goals to start. And then everybody was like, they're going to do this play. And then we didn't really adjust. We just tried to keep doing the same thing. And we didn't have that big body in front of the net.
Manny Malhotra, if I had a list of people who excelled on the power play, he wouldn't have been on it when he was a player, but it certainly seems like, you know.
Yeah. He's handling special teams, right? So, and the penalty kill's been absolutely rocking as well. You know, that's where Mikheyev's been shining. Not with popping them in. There was I think he had a chance at an empty net this week and somehow didn't manage to get a shot to
crossbar.
Poor guy.
Yeah. A nice pass across, and like he had a saucer pass come across. It was a nice chance too, and he didn't bury it. But we've got guys in our team that can bury those. You know what I mean? That's that grab those things out of the air and do some nice stuff. But I'm on his case right now. But
I have him on my fantasy team. Do I keep him?
Hell yeah.
No.
That's Sunday game that we finished up with last week, and we were kind of going right into a matinee. I had to take a drive, you know, not very often that we drive in our cars and stuff, but I had a big smile on my face getting into the car at 3:45 thinking, all right, I get to listen to Joe Bowen and Jimmy Ralph. So that was kind of nice. I mean, it's because they do get a little away with a little bit more of that commentary when it comes to reffing and, you know, things like that. They don't have to be as political about things. So
the reason I brought up the listening thing is there's a throw to another YouTube channel that I think you guys are going to get a kick out of, because I just discovered it this week and I love it. It's called Leafs Jelly with a J, Leafs Jelly HD. It's new just this year. And so what the guy is doing is he's taking either the NHL or the Sportsnet Game in 6 or Game in 9 or whatever, when they do the package, and he's stripping out the other commentators and he puts in Bowen and Ralphie to do all those highlights, and it's brilliant. Leafs Jelly HD. I just subscribed to them today, and those guys, they're killing it. It's the best way to watch your highlights.
Links in the doobly doo.
They got 223 subscribers, so hopefully we can
fresh
help them. Oh yeah, it's just this year, and it's the best way to get your highlights for sure.
I love it. I love it. I love Bowen and Ralphie.
Oh man, their take is so great, especially on penalties and whatnot, and the Tkachuk thing and all that stuff. So
we have a little bit of a light week this week, right? Like 2 games against Vancouver, but time to maybe work on some things, right? A couple of actual practice days, a little bit of a, if anybody's partially banged up or whatever, some time off and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Vancouver though seems to be turning it around slightly. I mean, playing a couple games against Ottawa always helps, of course, but they're
or Ottawa.
When your stars are Connor Brown and Nikita Zaitsev,
God bless. I love Connor Brown.
I know you do.
So guy works so hard, and good for him. He's leading the team probably.
Who would you want back right now? In the entire league that was a Leaf that you think could improve the team. Something to think about for next week. Yeah, but they have to be an active player.
Yeah,
and
there's lots of them there.
We'll throw a poll. We'll throw out a poll.
Yeah.
On YouTube channel and our Twitter feed, which I'll have to set up.
Right.
To our non-followers.
Yeah.
And see what kind of response we get to that very question. And we'll talk about it next week.
And the vintage stuff, because I know we tend to bring up vintage stuff. I was digging around and I found a couple cool things. I don't know if we'll show, but we can. Daryl Sittler second year hockey card there.
Wow.
And then I
found
found
Johnny Busick. You got Johnny Busick.
I found this
there.
beauty down at the bottom when he was in Buffalo. Speaking of coffee
Tim
last
Horton.
week. Tim Horton.
For those of you listening and not watching, we just got a grand glimpse of Daryl Sittler's crazy hair from his second year hockey card, and Tim Horton,
which may have been his last year because he'd been playing for quite some time. That was a 71-72 season. So
he's definitely got dad's
beauties in
accountant
there.
hair.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Actually, and one other one, there's a Davy Keon there too.
Nice.
The real beauty is, unfortunately, it's not in the best shape though. But
way to hold on to those.
This one,
I mean, he held on to those like a Freddie Anderson revamp.
If that was in top condition, that's about I think a $50,000 or $60,000 card. But the condition it's in is probably about $800 maybe.
Is that his rookie card?
Rookie card.
Is that Gordie Howe next? Is that Gordie Howe on the Whalers next to him?
Yeah, so you got Gordie Howe and then Bobby Hull on the Jets. So that was when the WHA and the NHL came together.
If you're listening to this, you're going to want to check out our YouTube channel so you can check out these sweet retro cards.
Yeah, and there's also the Rick Vive where he'd gotten picked up by the Leafs and they painted everything.
Rick
Even his
Vive,
hair for some reason.
He looks like Lou Ferrigno.
But his signature's on your jersey there, Kirk. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah, hand painted. No photo retouching on those ones in 79, 80. Photoshop wasn't the thing.
I got a Bobby Orr rookie card. I think. Yeah.
Was he
really?
He was good, that guy.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Calder Trophy Rookie of the Year card, Bobby Orr.
Dude, have you checked to see how much that's worth?
Well, it's not in good condition. This is chewed up.
As
you can see in the corner here. On the back, my brother wrote his name, Kevin, and I rubbed it out.
So classic with some of the stuff we have too. I think there's on that regrets.
The fact that the back of that card is one piece of a Bobby Hull multi-picture puzzle.
Yeah.
Bobby Hull.
Brilliant, eh?
Hey, I got a little story.
Lay it on us.
A little bit of tells you how old I am. When the Hockey Hall of Fame opened, TSN had a party there for the opening night. They invited a bunch of people, and I was working in advertising at the time. So there was, people from our office that were invited, and I got to go and kind of check it out. And they had celebrities there, like and ex-players and stuff like that. And I got this puck signed from the Hockey Hall of Fame by Gordie Howe.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And he was standing there with Mahavlich or somebody like that, and looked over at him, and we were lining up for these. And I don't have very many autographs of the people that I've met in my life and stuff like that. I usually just am like happy enough to meet them. In this case, I wanted to get this signed, and my grandfather loved Gordie Howe. So when I walked up there, this sort of 20-year-old kid walked up to him and said, "Hey, my grandfather told me when I was a kid that, like you, I should learn how to shoot with both hands." And he just looked over at Mahavlich, looked back at me and said, "You only need one hand to shoot, kid." They kind of laughed, and I was turned red a little bit, and then just move on. Yeah. So anyway, here you go. For all the kids watching, you only need one hand to shoot.
Amen to that. You've been listening to the Leafs Power Dump.
Oh, sorry, I got it backwards. That was the intro.
That's fine. I can cut it up.
Best intro outro ever. Why change it? It's great.
Yeah.
Still,
It's in, it's
check out
out.
our merch.
Yeah, check out our merch. Links are in the description.
A little hard sell.
Share and tell your friends. We're going to have a Twitter account any second now, so check us out on Twitter. The link will be in this description.
Oh,
And,
sorry about that, guys. Damn, microdosing.
Leafs Power Dump Podcast is Kirk Comrie, Chad Maker, Paul Zimick, and John Galway. Copyright 2021 Firewallet Productions.